I think I've gotten to those Google Auth screens in the past. And then I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And then it wouldn't be able to help me get through it. And then I'm just like, all right, well, like, I got like 50% of the way there. Like, maybe next time. And so, but now it's like you can complete stuff.
This sounds like your kind of like your control panel, if you will, for OpenClaw. And then you've got each of the channels, for a particular purpose. Like, do you mind just running down what some of these channels on Discord are?
Your meeting notes are useless until you do this. You say you recorded meetings for years and then you did absolutely nothing with them until you build a system that turns transcripts into content automatically. Welcome back to AI Supercycle, our premier AI show, airing every single week, presented by Near. We cover the ins and outs of decentralized AI, privacy, and the future of this massive technology.
Near is the blockchain for AI and the execution of AI native apps. You can check out Near's latest AI product at near.ai. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to AI Supercycle episode 21, powered by our friends at Near, their amazing Near.ai chat product, private chat, as well as IronClaw. Not sure if Gmoney is familiar with IronClaw quite yet. I know he is of OpenClaw. Gmoney, good to have you on the show, man. Welcome.
Hey,
back.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
Good, man. I spent 4 hours setting up OpenClaw this weekend. I got it its own Gmail account, got it a Telegram. Got it cooking on Google Docs, so I'm getting there. I know that you've been doing some work. Maybe just catch us up, man. What's the last couple of weeks been like? I'm sure you've been one-shotted like the rest of us here.
Yeah, I'm super curious what your experience has been like on Telegram, because I originally set it up on Telegram, and I was trying to set up channels. I think the the issue that I ran into is like it's capable of doing so many things that you want to tackle and have so many concurrent threads. And the way I've been trying to kind of frame working with OpenClaw is like it's a new employee in the organization that you need to like set up. You set up with the emails and this and that, and then like you're having different conversations on different things, right? And it's doing stuff and getting things done very quickly. So I quickly realized that I needed to have like threaded conversations for myself, so that, for instance, like I have a health channel, right, where I ask, it has all of my data, all my Whoop band data and whatnot there. So I can ask it questions pertaining to my health. And I personally don't want to like context switch or be like, oh, like what, let's talk about, the content strategy. And then like the next thing is like, can I eat this for lunch? Right. So it's like, I was trying to set that up on Telegram with different channels and I couldn't figure it out. So then I ended up migrating to Discord against, I've barely been active in Discord for the last couple of years, but I set up my own personal Discord where I can chat directly with my OpenClaw. And it's been like awesome because I have like all these different conversations in different channels. So more for myself than for the OpenClaw itself, because it can remember a lot of things cross channel. And that's been like a huge difference for me. So like when I want to like double click on a new thread or a new topic, I'm like, hey, like let's set up a new channel. We can talk about it over here. That to me was like a huge quality improvement that I noticed with it that I was missing when I first started. But like it takes a while. I'm sure like you're seeing it. Like I'm super curious as to like what your experience has been for 4 to 6 hours in. But like I see like a ton of promise there. But like it can get frustrating sometimes. Like sometimes I feel like I'm like, all right, cool. Like set up this cron job, do this daily at this time. And then like a day goes by. I'm like, wait a second. Like I was supposed to get a report at 9 a.m. And then I'll be like, what happened? It's like, oh, you're right. Like I told you that it was ready to go, but like it wasn't. I didn't do blah, blah, blah. And like you kind of, it's almost like you have to train it a couple times and like teach it. But then like it takes a while. So but it's been good. I've been like integrating it more and more into my workflows, which has been awesome.
Want simple? Want fast? Want every chain? Use Relay.link, the fastest bridge in crypto. Transfer your assets cross-chain instantly with very low slippage right now on Relay.link. Yeah, the single threaded kind of Telegram single chat only isn't great for like multiple like lines of work.
Yeah.
I think it was like a guy from Solana Vibu or something put out this. His first thing that he did was he built a web app in OpenClaw that actually like creates more of like a Claude or ChatGPT like interface that has like different chats for different kind of like trains of thought. Within 4 to 6 hours, I learned about Google Cloud, OAuth keys, and also set up a couple cron jobs. Notice that sometimes I would send a text on Telegram and it would respond instantly sometimes, and other times it would take like 10, 15 minutes to respond. And I'm just kind of like, I didn't quite understand what the difference was between why I was getting imminent, like very fast responses and why I was getting slow responses. I don't know if you've had that experience.
I've had experience. So like what do you run it on a Mac Mini or are you running in the cloud?
On a Mac Mini, yeah.
So,
On an Ethernet as well.
I'm running mine on a Mac Mini. And one of the things I noticed is sometimes when I get those response time issues, I just I just turn on the monitor on the Mac Mini and I say like restart gateway. For some, like it still is buggy, right? Like it's like it's incredible for like stretches of time, and then all of a sudden like it'll be like, wait, like why this should be like I asked you to like add this to my calendar, like this should be an almost instantaneous response. It shouldn't take you 4 to 5 minutes to respond. And then I'm like, all right, there's something wrong. And then like I'll go in there and like I can't figure it out. I'll be like, fix it, find out what's wrong, restart the gateway. Usually it's like a gateway restart issue that I feel like has to happen. But yeah, like it's not like 100%, but like still at the same time, I think when there's this much friction, that's where like a lot of the opportunity is. I think we've seen it in crypto, saw it with NFTs, like usually in these early markets, right? Being an early mover and figuring out how to deal with the friction is like super valuable, right? Like even to your point of like learning about Google Auth and Workspace and all that, like it is not the most intuitive. No. But it's much easier today than it was 6 months ago. I can tell you that. Like for me, like the aha moment happened like a little over a month ago when I saw Claude Code on my timeline, like nonstop. And I hadn't like tried vibe coding in like about 6 months. I had taken like the second half of last year off on the vibe coding stuff. And I was like, holy shit, like I one-shotted a Telegram bot in 15 minutes, which I had never been able to do before. I was able, because like it became too technical, right? Like before, to your point of like, I think I'd gotten to those Google Auth screens in the past. And then I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And then it wouldn't be able to help me get through it. And then I'm just like, all right, well, like, I got like 50% of the way there. Like, maybe next time. And so, but now it's like, you can complete stuff. Right. And I think that that's like the real unlock here is that like, you basically have an expert in whatever it is that you're dealing with to answer questions for you in real time. And you kind of don't need to ask other people for help. That's the thing that I think I like is the huge unlock, especially as I've been helping friends get set up on this, is like, they're like, hey, can you walk me through this? And part of walking them through it is like, all right, as you're setting this up, open up like an LLM instance on the side. And if you run into questions, just like screenshot it and drop it in and just say, help me. And like, it'll help you better than like I ever can. And then just becoming used to that, right? Because like now, like I generally don't ask people questions. Like for instance, like if you were like the world's expert in podcasting, I now like, maybe 6 months ago, I'd be like, yo, Andy, like, what should I do here? Blah, 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 this and that. Now, before I go to you, I'm like, all right, well, let me just ask Claude Code.
Opus 4.6.
Yeah. And like, be like, hey, figure this out. And then if I still have questions, I can go to you. But like, for the most part, it'll give me like really good answers. I'm like, oh,
Opus will, yes. Yeah. I've noticed Opus will give you extremely high quality answers. It does use a lot of tokens. I had to upgrade my tokens. I kept getting rate limited last night. But the other models weren't all that, exciting to me. I tried all of them and, Robbie has through over the last couple of years, but it was this Opus 4.5 that has been like, oh, wow. Like from a writing perspective, from a reasoning perspective, this is actually really good.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed using Opus a lot, and like I was messing around with Minimax over the weekend, and it's good. I just like Opus is just so much better. I can't tell you what it is, but I feel like when I have a conversation with Opus, I can get to my end goal and it intuitively understands what I'm trying to do. And like maybe reasons better. I'm not exactly sure. It just is more, it feels more intuitive when I'm interacting with it. And I feel like I get better outputs from it.
What are some of the biggest wins you've had since you've been, first of all, when did you set it up? And yeah, like take us through like your journey of just kind of the chronology of when you first set it up. What was your initial, approach? And then how did that kind of spiral into what you ended up doing with it now?
With OpenClaw or with just
Yeah, with
Claude
OpenClaw.
Code? With OpenClaw, I think I set it up maybe like it was either like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I tried setting it up when it like started going viral. I went out, I bought a Mac Mini. I tried setting it up. I got like super, super frustrated because I felt like I had lost because I was like in the zone with Claude Code.
Mm.
The biggest issue with Claude Code is that like I have to be in front of my computer in order to be like super productive, right? And I think the huge unlock that OpenClaw unlocked is that I can like be talking, like I could be on the go, I could be like on my way to the gym, have a good idea, be like, hey, like let's work on this, and then like it'll work on it, and then by the time I like walk into the gym, it's like, all right, what's like the next thing? I'm like, oh fuck, I'm like, I need to, oh sorry, no cursing. I'm like,
You're good, bro.
what's next? And so I think like it's been the highest, like the highs are so high where I'm like, oh my god, AGI is here, like it's imminent. And then like 2 minutes later, it's like, oh yeah, I need the password to log into this. I'm like, you have the password, I gave it to you like 5 minutes ago. And it's like, no, I can't find it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Right. And so it's been like very much like that, like highs and lows on it. But overall, like it's been getting better and like understanding how to work with it. It's been like super productive. Like I'm like, I mean, I redeployed my website yesterday, and I basically worked on it for like 3 or 4 days. I built out like a funnel for like my newsletter and whatnot, and like a whole strategy. And I did that all on my own with like no devs. And like I literally had like a bunch of people hit me up, be like, yo, who made your website? I'm like, I did. Right. And it's like there's like animation on there. It's not just like a static homepage. It's like there's like some pop-ups and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
sick. It's got this like Japanese font rolling on it through it. But one thing that you said is that it's like it's agent first, or like it's able to interacted with agents. Maybe you could just educate us and the community, like what does that mean? Like what is an agent first site? Like what capabilities are required? What do they look for? How do they operate when it comes to web browsing?
Right. So basically, I'm sure you guys, like, especially the more time you spend with like OpenClaw, you're gonna find that sometimes when you ask it to open a browser and do something on a site, it like burns tokens. It like eats them like the Cookie Monster. And so the key is like I would love to be able to access sites and be like, hey, like go on this site and get this information without it having to necessarily open up the browser and take screen. Because like I don't know the exact process, but from my understanding, it's almost like it opens up the browser, takes a screenshot, sends the screenshot to itself, says, okay, this is what you need to do, does the action, screenshot. So it takes a while and it burns tokens. Much easier if it can just like connect to the site, see all the data, download the data, what it needs, what info it needs, and then like serve it back to you. It's just much more efficient. So my thesis is that like obviously in the future, this is how like a lot of content will be distributed, a lot of the way we're going to interact, and you kind of see it now is like, I don't know what percentage of your search is used on one of the LLMs versus what used to be on Google, but like you'll be like, hey, like what's the best restaurant in this neighborhood that I want to go check out right now? And you kind of want to make your site or whatever content that you're serving as accessible to LLMs as possible, because they're going to be making that recommendation, right? So like, you have SEO, which is search engine optimization, which has been the last, 30 years of the internet. And now you kind of need to make ones that like, I think it's called GEO. I don't know what the G stands for, but like, let's say GPT engine optimization, so that you can end up on those things. So one of the things that like when I was redoing the site, I was like, hey, let's make this as easily searchable for LLMs so that like the content gets indexed and Gmoney and the site shows up on feeds and whatnot. And then I think Google released like the universal commerce protocol or something earlier this week. So then like I fed that into the LLM. I'm like, let's integrate this. And I thought one of the interesting things was, right, like if let's say you wanted to subscribe to the newsletter, right? And you were like, hey, like go subscribe to this newsletter. As of right, most sites would be like, all right, like do, open up Playwright or control the browser, enter it in and this and that. And again, it burns tokens. Whereas the way I set it up is like you could be like, go sign up my email for the newsletter at this site, and it will like connect via like, I don't think it's the API, but like it'll connect to the site and it won't burn tokens, right? It'll be like much more efficient use of tokens. And then like it connects your email to the site. So all of a sudden you can like, and I think like a lot of the internet will be moving this way because you're going to want like efficient AI browsing to happen. And so I'm just like, all right, like let's make this as efficient for AI as possible. And that was kind of like the way I built it out. And again, like it's just kind of like sitting there and being like, all right, well, this is what I think it should do. And when I compare this, like anytime I've deployed sites in the past and, how quickly and how many people need to touch it, especially not that the site was that complex, but like, to get those animations and, these effects that I wanted, like it would take time. And it was just kind of me going back and forth with the LLM while I've been working on like other things like concurrently while it happened, like pretty phenomenal. It just makes me even much more bullish on AI.
It costed you some tokens rather than 15K for a developer, 25K for a
Exactly.
developer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big takeaway. I think some of our community is gonna be curious, like how are you using OpenClaw to your advantage, right? You've got this website, which sounds awesome, guys. We'll link that in the description of the video. You also put a pretty banger post. Your meeting notes are useless until you do this. You say you recorded meetings for years and then you did absolutely nothing with them until you build a system that turns transcripts into content automatically. We do this live show every day. We are always posting content on Twitter. Talk to us about what is this meeting notes OpenClaw system that you've built. Kind of walk us through the implementation, what the value that you're getting out of this is.
Yeah. So basically, and it's not specific to OpenClaw. You can do this however you want. The key is just like setting up the system. So what ends up happening is, there's a lot of times I'd be on calls and I'd be like, oh, like that's like, that this is a good like convo thread to like post some content on. And then, maybe I'm on back-to-back calls, or I forget about it or whatever. Nothing ever happens, right? The call was recorded. Like I never go through the transcript because I don't have the time. And so what I ended up doing was I set up an API where I automatically download all of my transcripts from that day. And then I have a channel in my Discord. And this was like one of the first things that I built with AI, even before OpenClaw started getting ready, is like there'd be time, like obviously X open sourced their algorithm. So I pretty much downloaded that repo. I have a history of my content that I've made on X over the last 5 years. So it knows exactly how I write, and my style. And I downloaded that as well. So like I had this like mini site that I created for myself. It was one of the first things I did was saying like I would type in a tweet in there, and based off of like what I typed, it would give me like 3 revisions that make it more likely to go viral on the algorithm. And that was like the first iteration of it. And so then what I ended up doing was like, all right, well, it'd be cool if I could connect my meeting transcripts to this tweet viral maker that makes things in my voice. And so I created like that workflow so that now like I could like be like, hey, remember that meeting, the meeting I had yesterday with these guys? We were talking about this. Give me like 3 drafts of a tweet based off of this part of the combo. And then it'll give me 3 things. And I'm like, all right, like I'll tweak it here and there. But for the most part, it sounds like exactly like me. And like, I can copy and paste it obviously and send it. And so like, to me, that's like been super valuable. And I'm sure you guys find stuff like that really interesting as content makers, because you always want to be putting out thoughtful pieces. Because like, you don't want to be putting out slop. right? Because like anybody can put out slop, but you want to be putting out like real thoughtful pieces and almost like curating the content that it generates and almost being like an editor, right? Like that's kind of like what I've been seeing as well, is like it's being more of a um manager role as opposed to sitting there and creating the content and like spending the time. It's like, all right, well, I like this. This is like my line of thinking. This is said better than I was originally thinking about it. And now you can like you create like more content and streamline your process. So it's like that to me has been like a huge unlock. I want to be messing around with like video content probably in the back half of this week. But like for me, like the X content and the written stuff was like the first thing to get down. And like I feel pretty comfortable with like how that is. And it's been a huge unlock for me. I love it because like even like after a call, I can be like, hey, or even like the next day, be like, hey, oh yeah, I just remembered like we were talking about this. Like draft up a couple of tweets for me and I can review them.
Hibachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? infiniFi gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. infiniFi is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinifi.xyz. That sounds very relevant to our daily streams. We make so much content over hours. Just putting that together into actual, Twitter content, LinkedIn content, etc.
Yeah, I was just saying, I wonder if there's an OpenClaw cron job that could run, so you don't even have to remember the meeting, right? It just automatically sends the transcript and generates a few tweets for you.
Yeah. So it does do that. Like I have one that like in case like I forget or whatever, and it'll be like based off of like yesterday's meetings. These are like some things that like like could be viral, right? And it'll send me a couple, and it's not perfect because like I say no to like 90% of them, but like at the very least, it's like it's generating ideas, which is great, and like it's not like me sitting there being like, oh yeah, like I think this will work or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I like that. This is like my line of thinking. Because like it's been giving me
block, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're there and you're like, what's gonna, and then it just gives you some like prompting to be able to go.
Right. Yeah, no, it's great.
I think our audience is going to be particularly interested in this one. I think anyone in crypto will. You tweeted that you let an AI test 88,000 trading strategies over 10 years of market data, and the winner made money every single year, never lost more than 3% from the peak. And I think that you've started to now implement this. People are asking about like where the convergence between crypto rails and having a wallet, X402, agentic payments, algorithmic trading. Where does that intersect actually with AI? Seems like this is an interesting pathway. What's going on here? What's the latest, and how did you even do this?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll preface it with the fact that I was a professional trader for 17 years. So I know a lot about trading and risk management, and building out an algorithmic trading strategy was something I've wanted to do for a really long time. So I could never afford it, right? Like I had hired programmers. Backtesting took way longer. The like programmers were, I felt like if a programmer understood markets really well, I couldn't afford them. So like, the programmers I could afford didn't understand markets really well and didn't understand liquidity well enough to be like, yeah, like this like makes the backtest obsolete. Like it's unusable because of like liquidity concerns and stuff and slippage and whatnot. So one of the things I've always wanted to do, even like the first time I tried out ChatGPT when it first dropped a couple of years ago, is like I want to build out the backtesting strategy because like I know what needs to be done. I just couldn't make it before, right? Like I would have to tell a developer what I was thinking. And now I'm like, I don't need that developer. I can like tell it what I'm thinking. So I, spent like the last couple of weeks building out a backtesting engine, right? And like a workflow to backtest ideas, and then feeding it those ideas and have it backtest stuff. And then I had like 4 strategies that like made it through out of like a bunch of strategies that I back tested. Now like I set it up to start paper trading. It was this past Friday was the first time we paper traded. And then
where did you trade? And like, how did the
Uh,
agent get the access to the, or how did the strategy get the access to the account or whatever it was?
so I did it on Interactive Brokers, and
Yep.
I'm like connected to Interactive Brokers, right? And so it's like
Got it.
there's so much API documentation out there on it that it was just like set it up on his own.
Yep.
And like the crazy thing with this is I was talking to a quant friend of mine. He's like, dude, like it used to take like a year ago, 2 years ago, it used to take like 2 to 3 days to set up like the IB API because it was like very complex. And like, I told it, it's like, get this done, and it did it. And the funny thing is like like on Thursday night, and I was like, okay, everything's ready. And then I was like, wait, what language do we build the engine in? And it was like, oh, it's in Python. And I'm like, all right, well, since we're going to be dealing with like live market data and speed and execution matter, rebuild this in Rust, because Rust is like the gold standard for fast execution. It's just that nobody really builds in Rust because it's a much more complex language. So then it rebuilt the entire system in Rust that night, like as I was going to bed. I think it worked for like 45 minutes on it and rebuilt it. And then in the morning, like I ran it. So it was just like it was just like very, very cool. And so like I'm paper trading it right now with live data, but not real money. And then if it continues performing well over the next like 2 3 weeks, I'm gonna put a small amount of money towards it. And
Yep.
then again, it's like one of those things. Like, am I gonna put my entire, like, I'll use an example. I created a Polymarket bot, and I put $250 into it to, like, because everybody's talking about how much money they're making on Polymarket and this and that. So I'm like, all right, like let's build the Polymarket bot. Like, let's mess around with this. I put $250 on it, and I had a $10 max bet size limit. So like I'm like, you shouldn't bet more than $10. And then I don't know, for whatever reason, whatever happened, it bought $200 worth of like, will Elon tweet less than like 14 times in the month of March? And it bought it at 99 cents when there was like no market. So it's like it immediately lost $200 like in the first like half second. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, I thought we had position limits on it. And it's like, oh, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And came up with some excuse. But like, obviously, once there's real money on the line, right? Like every mistake matters. So it's like, but I'm the type of person that like I learn by doing, right? Like this is like how I, found stuff early in crypto. This is how I got involved with NFTs early, is like, it's one thing to be theoretical and study stuff and you read all the tweets, because like especially with AI, like you could waste the entire day being like, oh my god, like that's really cool, I want to do that one day and I want to make the perfect system and this and that. But for me at least, it's like I learn by doing, and if I learn something new, it's like, oh, this will make your process faster. It's like, cool, like you can implement it into the process or just scrap it all over and start again, because like the cost, you no longer are paying like the dev costs, right? Like it's like it'll be redone in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Gmoney, at a high level, like I'm just curious if you could take us through, if you're open to it, take us through more of these Discord channels, because this sounds like you're kind of like your control panel, if you will, for
Mm.
OpenClaw, and then you've got each of the channels, for a particular purpose. Like, do you mind just running down what some of these channels on Discord are?
Yeah, okay. I'll go. So one of them, I create a breaking news channel so that if there's news that comes out, like right now it's focused on AI, it posts stuff in there. I have a general channel, which is I have like most of my combos happen in there. I have a couple of channels for different projects that I'm working on. One for health, so like all my health stuff goes through there. A Polymarket channel. I created a legal channel, so I have kind of like my in-house counsel. So like if somebody sends me a contract, I'll have it review it, to make flags, make red lines. I can send it back. That guy's called Saul Goodman. I think the really interesting thing about a lot of these AI agents that you see, that people are naming them after like archetypes that exist in
Yes.
like the real world. So like my research agent is called Milhouse, right? Because I'm like, I don't know, like who's like a nerdy guy that like I would trust.
From The
And so I'm
Simpsons.
like, yeah, Milhouse. Yeah. So Milhouse from The Simpsons, Saul Goodman, and like my doctor's called Dr. Sage, right? And so I have a trading channel. I have one for like X and posting on there, one on BitTensor. I started a validator last week. Actually, it's been up. I just got like an update. It's been up for 6 days on post fiat. And like these are things that like
yeah.
I never, running a miner or running a validator is something I never could have done before because I just wasn't technical enough to set it up. And like I was able to set up the post fiat validator in like under an hour, and it's been running, and like it's just really cool. It's allowing me to participate in different networks in different ways. And so like one of the things that I've been doing is like trying to figure out how to set up miners on the BitTensor network because I'm still really bullish on that long term. And then I think one interesting thing I'm probably going to tweet about this like in a day or two is I have a daily Shark Tank every morning so that when I wake up, it pitches me like 5 to 10 ideas of things that it could do autonomously on its own to make money without me with me doing as little work as possible. And so then based on what it pitches me, I give it feedback, yes or no, what I like, what I don't like. Then it goes back to the drawing board, works on it that night, and then pitches me again in the next day. So I have one that like it pitched me last week that I liked. We ended up buying a domain, built out the funnel in like an hour or two. Now like a lot of it's like refining and stuff like that, but it's like SEO optimized, all of these things that like I don't know if I'll be able to launch it this week because I have a couple other projects, but like I think you'll get it launched pretty quickly. And that it would do pretty well. So there's just like a lot of cool things that you can do. And I think the interesting thing with all this is like each of your guys' agents will be very different than mine, right?
Yeah,
so it's like it's like they're going to develop their own personalities because it's like we're all different. We're all very good at different skill sets, right? So what I think like a lot of these agents are going to do is they're going to amplify the things that you're really good at because they're probably also things that you like to do, right? So it's really going to give like the people that really harness them like superpowers.
And are you seeing each of the agents in each of these channels? They're all part of the one same OpenClaw instance. Is that the case?
Or are they like spawning sub agents? Because I know that there's like sub agents, and then they just pushed another update that allowed children of individual sub agents. So is this like sub agents, or is this just like one different instances?
So the way I have it is I have one main agent that I chat with. And then I have basically I have fed it like I think it was the OpenAI sub agent model framework into it. I'm like, based off of this, come up with a framework for sub agents. Tell me what you think like we should do here. And then it utilized like the questions and the combos that I had is like, hey, we should do a research agent, a lawyer agent, and a health doctor agent, right? Not a doctor because no medical advice, obviously. And so it spawned up those sub agents. I can speak to those sub agents in their direct channels, but they all share like information between each other so that like they can access different information from each other. I think it can still get a little messy, at least for me. Maybe I don't have like the exact right controls in place, but I have found that pretty interesting and pretty good so that I can, and like I've been messing around with it because like for a while I was just like everything through my main agent, it spins up sub agents on its own when it thinks it needs to. But then I'm like, all right, well, people keep talking about how there's a ton of value in having like an attorney agent that just focuses on law and understands, contract law and whatnot. And like somebody that focuses just on medical, on, the things I'm interested in the medical field. So I've been messing with that and I like it. It's been very good. And so I am still like trying to figure out the framework, but anytime I have questions, like I literally just talk to my OpenClaw on it. It's like, well, what do you think? Let's run some research. Let's find some stuff out there. I'm sure there's stuff on X that just came out. So like do an X, shout out to Frank D Gods because I use his X research app a lot, or his GitHub and that skill a ton. But just like stuff like that. So it's like you can stay on top of like breaking stuff as it comes out. But that's kind of like the framework that I've adopted is like, being like, hey, and then I think I'm going to periodically do it where it's like based on the combos, you think I need a new agent. And if so, what do you recommend? Right.
Yeah. I'm wondering if I need to switch to Discord. So you've got the Whoop completely, like I've got the Whoop here. You've got it connected to like how'd you connect that? I mean, I can just ask.
So you can ask it. Like basically, there's like
a developer. Your time here, man.
But there's like a developer site that you basically just like log in, it like will set it up and they'll connect it, and then you get the data.
Super good.
It's very easy.
Before you go, you mentioned Frank D. God's like one of the top skills that you're using from that GitHub to Access X. Just what are your top like 3, 4, 5? Like what are your top 5 skills that you find yourself using?
To be honest, I don't really know because like it autonomously like uses them when
it'll
it
go
them.
find the skills on its own, right?
Well, no, but like I'll like sometimes like I've downloaded skills, or like the coolest thing that OpenClaw does that I think is really cool is like, let's say I look at something on X and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to bookmark this for later. What I've started doing instead of bookmarking it for later is I just copy and paste the tweet into, I just paste the link into the chat, and I'm like, hey, read this over, and is there anything that we can implement into our workflows? And then it'll like make it, it'll be like, hey, we could add this would make our workflows better. These, I recommend us, we do these 3 things. Do you want to implement them? And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's implement them. And then like, he'll implement that. And so it's like, I kind of like don't need to necessarily learn the skill. It's like, I think what's going to become hyper important in the age of AI is curation, right? Like, what is it that I need to know? And what is it that I can kind of like give off to the AI and not need to worry about, right? So it's like a hyper, like how the X research skill works. I don't really need to know that, right? I just need to know that like I type something in and it goes out and it gets that stuff on the internet and brings it back to me. But maybe like some macro piece on the world economy and like where the world is headed, like that's like, that's always been like a good skill set of mine. And I like, reading on that. So yeah, like I want to be up to date on like the thinking there, right? And so it's like, you just have to be hyper vigilant about where you're spending your time. And it's like, what do you delegate to AI as something? It's like, yeah, like I don't need to know this. I just need to know that it can get done. And then being like, I need to know this because this will form my decision making on future things.
Yeah. Gmoney, man, thanks for your time. I've got a lot to do with my OpenClaw after this conversation, and we appreciate you coming on. Where can our audience find you? Where can we get be a part of your newsletter, follow what you're doing from the trading side, from the AI side? How can we get involved?
Yeah, for sure. So on X, Gmoney NFT, Instagram, same handle. And, I just relaunched my website at g.money. And from there, like you can go check out the website, sign up for the newsletter. You could also just tell your AI agent to sign up for the newsletter at g.money with your email, and it should be able to go and do it on its own.
Dude.
This feels like we've hit our limit of Gmoney tokens. We're gonna have to buy more Gmoney tokens and have you on again soon, man.
Let's see if so my OpenClaw is Chef Clanker. That's his name. Can you sign up for Gmoney newsletter
through the API?
Through the API,
or else you're gonna burn tokens.
The lion does not concern himself with burning tokens. All right, let's see what we get here, and then we'll let you go. Chef Clanker is putting in work. I'm getting a reminder to tweet about a rumor mill to follow up with a. All right, found the site, gmoney.beehive.com. No.
Okay, that should work. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if Gmoney it'd be gmoney.beehive. G.money maybe.
The sign up page is Yahoo Groups now in the browser access. Just give me the direct sign up field I can drive. Go to g.money. Yeah, so I've got it set up with its own email, and it's going there now. So here we go. He's going to the browser.
Ooh, okay. He shouldn't be going to the browser.
Okay. To subscribe. Got it. His track record paid. Okay. There should be a newsletter sign up form. Want to connect the browser tab so I can fill it out. Same issue as before. I need browser access, or you can manually subscribe. No, just do it through the API. Let's see here. Anyway, guys, I think we can probably close up shop here, but let's see. I just want to see if this guy.
Gmoney, I don't know if you use Whisper Flow, but I find myself talking to.
I love I love Whisperflow. I found out yesterday I'm in the top 1% of words per minute talkers. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm being efficient with my time. But I Whisperflow is, I even Whisperflow like my text messages now because it's so fast and convenient.
Yeah, and the dictation is so accurate.
It's better than like the Apple push to, like it's better than any of the other apps that I've used. So it's been awesome. I love it. And like I literally will just sit there and I'll like word vomit for like 3 or 4 minutes of like things that like I'm thinking or want or whatever, and then like, you know, get like product that I want. So it's cool. I like it.
Gmoney, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for being a part of AI Super Cycle episode 21. Guys, that about wraps us up with this episode of the show. Thanks, Gmoney.
All right. Thanks for having me.
See you next time. Thanks, man.
Cheers, man.
Right.